Okay, I think we're going, Brian.
All right.
Okay, so thanks for doing this, Brian. When we spoke earlier, you really threw me a little bit when I asked you where do you live. So.
Yeah, and I said, come on, I'll show you where I live, you know. But yeah, I mean, where I live is kind of a complex question. So I've really taken the virtualization and taken it to extreme and into my personal life as well. So I live a virtual lifestyle, and I lived in Washington, D.C. for probably 6 years. And a couple years ago, I actually sold my house, I sold my car, I sold my motorbike, I sold all my furniture, I sold most of my clothes, and sold pretty much everything I own. So now everything I own fits into just 3 boxes. And so with the idea being that I can sort of travel around the world and live in short-term apartments that come with furniture and everything. So since I left Washington, I lived in Chicago, I lived in New York City, Berlin, Amsterdam, Sydney, Australia, boy, where else? And then I'm heading to San Francisco. So I know Citrix has a big presence in San Francisco, so I'll be joining you guys in the Bay Area in September timeframe.
Oh wow! And so how come you're doing this job you're doing now? Where did BrianMadden.com come from?
Well, so you know, it's interesting because like a lot of things, it's sort of accidental. So I've been working in IT since 1996, so about 12 years now. And I grew up as your typical MCSE doing consulting, and I was working on Exchange and SMS and Wins and doing, you know, Lotus Notes migrations and also doing Citrix stuff. So I worked for typical Citrix integrators, silver partners, gold partners, all that kind of stuff. And I was working for a Citrix silver partner in Ohio. My friend Scott Archer, I have no idea where you are, Scott, but if you're out there, he wrote a book about Active Directory. And I just thought that was so cool. Like, this dude actually wrote a book, and I was friends with him. So then I wanted to write a book. And actually, I was sort of doing a lot of SMS work at the time and a lot of Citrix work at the time. And I went to Amazon and Googled to see what books were out there. There's a ton of books about SMS and no books about Citrix. So I wrote a book about Citrix. I figured it would take about 6 weeks. It actually took me about 9 months. But I wrote that book about Citrix. This is the Metaframe XP FR1 book. Wrote a second book about Citrix a year later or so. And that was all fine. I didn't really have the website. I just had some information about the book on it. And I was working for Hewlett Packard at the time, and so, you know, as many of you are aware, my views are sort of fiercely independent, let's say, and didn't quite jive with sort of the Citrix HP company messaging. So they kind of told me that, you know, if I want to keep on working at HP while writing these books, I would actually have to get my writing approved first by Citrix. So. Yeah, I was making okay money in the book, nothing great, but enough to kind of live on. So I thought, well, at this time I was working on a third book about terminal services. So I thought, okay, rather than do that, I'm just going to leave HP, take a few months, finish my terminal server book, and then after that I'll get a job. And that was 5 years and 1 month ago, and I haven't quite gotten around yet to getting a job. But that's the time I also started blogging, and the site just kind of grew and grew from there, really.
Yeah. So what do you do for business? I mean, it's a little difficult as an employee. You know, we see BrianMadden.com and we read the blog and stuff. So, you know, what is the business behind all of that?
Well, so, you know, it's interesting because it's hard to classify what our company is about. I mean, we call ourselves independent analysts, but we're kind of press, we're kind of analysts, we're kind of partners, we're kind of trainers, kind of consultants, kind of conference hosts, and there's a little bit of everything. So, and fundamentally, the website is sort of our sort of front door to the industry, and you know, it's interesting because so much of this industry, I mean, the Citrix technology, and going back to the multi-win days in the mid-1990s, it's kind of weird because this is sort of a technology that was sort of, they took old Windows and kind of repurposed it to be multi-win, and it was really like a hack to begin with. And so I feel like all of us who've traditionally been working with Citrix have been kind of like, you know, sort of like a fraternity of people trying to make this crazy stuff work out. So it's always been kind of very, very community focused. And so what we started doing, you know, when we started the books, I mean, the book was not just written by me. There was so much input from the community and other people who reviewed it and gave ideas, and the website and the blog and the forums and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, for work right now, sure, there's analyst work, and we're selling ads on the website, and we have Brian Forum, and we're speaking at events and publishing new books and training and DVDs and I don't know, other things I'm kind of not really remembering at this moment, but really everything we do is just about trying to figure out how this crazy technology works, and share as much as we can with everyone who's wanting to do this.
So how many guys do you have in your team?
So we are officially 5 employees in Brian Madden Company. From the technical standpoint, there's me. and there's my best friend Gabe Knuth. Gabe, actually, I worked with back in Cleveland, Ohio in 1998 when we were very first introduced to Citrix. So the Picasso betas on Microsoft Hydra beta, which is the TS4 beta stuff. So Gabe and I are sort of the two technical folks. We have Emily Monaco, who's our event director, so she handles our training classes and Bryform and all the logistics with that. And then we also have Laura Chrisman, who's our business manager. She kind of makes the company run as far as bill paying and paychecks and benefits and all that sort of stuff. And then actually my brother Jack just joined us about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Jack just graduated college with his degree in music, which means he needs a real job. So he's actually interned for us in the years past. So he's editing podcasts and editing videos and kind of deleting spam from the community forums and stuff like that. So those 5 are our company.
And do you all live virtual lives?
Yeah, so I'm the only one that's kind of weird in the virtualized space. The rest of them live in real places, but like most good companies today, we have the other 4 employees besides me live in 4 different states. We're incorporated in a 5th state, our mailing address is in a 6th state, our data center is in a 7th state, and our official company address is in an 8th state. So we are sort of all over the place, and we're actually, we're here right now, of course, in London, just outside of London, and going to Germany, and we're actually launching Brian Madden Company GmbH, so we can keep our business in euros and get as much, not bring as much in the US dollar, because of course as soon as we do work in consulting in Europe, as soon as we move it to our US bank accounts, it loses value. So now we can get bank accounts open in Europe and kind of keep the stuff in euros, so we're very excited about that. And
one last question, is there anything you'd like to say to the people at Citrix?
Anything to say to the people at Citrix? Well, you know that pretty much every random neural firing about Citrix I've written about. So, I don't, there's nothing that jumps into my mind initially. All I gotta say is don't forget about your Zen app business. You're doing more than $1 billion a year, and that's the legacy of the company. VDI, I think for sure is gonna be real in 24 months or so, but in the meantime, it's all about Zen apps. So, in general, I think Citrix has really evolved over the years with the way that they embrace the community and they embrace other technologists, and like we saw with the Geek Speak at Synergy and the CTP program and things like that. So just keep on moving in that direction. The days of Citrix being a monopoly are behind us now. So there's a lot of competition in the hardware virtualization and the VDI space, which I think is great for all of us. So I'm looking forward to, it's been 5 years independent, and I'm looking forward to another 5 years.
Okay, great. Well, thanks Brian for spending the time with us today. And this is us signing off from Windsor in the UK.
All right, thank you.